Hey, what's going on, guys? So let me just turn it off. There we go. Um, so I know this is going up a little later than I wanted to. Uh, basically, and I'm in my car, so I know it's a little off center, but otherwise you get a glare if I have it pointed that way. Um, I figured I'd put this video up. Talk about they had WWE just had its Super Showdown, I think it was called, in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah, I think Jeddah. And they're doing this for the next 8 years. They got a 10-year contract, and there's still a lot of controversy about them doing it there. I'm not going to go over that because that, quite honestly, has been talked about a lot already, and I don't want to dip into that. Also, too, I'm not going to go over the whole pay-per-view. I just thought I would kind of discuss the big points out of it, and I think really 3 things to me really stood out about the show. The first thing was that they opened the show. Actually, you know what? There was 4 things. The first thing I'm going to give credit to the wrestlers. I don't know if you guys, if for those that watched it, they know what I'm talking about. Those that didn't, it is very hot there, obviously, Saudi Arabia. And one thing they kept going over was that it was like 92 degrees outside the arena. Inside the arena, it was 102. At the lowest, it was 100. I'm a big guy. I hate heat. I can't stand the heat. These guys are wrestling in 100+ degree weather. I've heard some people say on the internet, and I've heard some people complain that, they were moving slow, and they were, it wasn't, the wrestlers didn't seem to be, going the speed that we're used to. I'm going to give them a lot of credit and say that you try wrestling in 100+ degree heat, you're probably not going to go at the speed they usually go. These guys are usually in arenas that are, have some type of AC or, that can make it a lot easier for them. They were in one of the hottest places that they probably ever wrestled in. So I got to give them some leniency on, they probably weren't able to go full out. I think that's why a lot of the matches were shorter than we're used to. I felt like the pay-per-view, it went long. I think it went about 4 hours. It went pretty long for what it was, but the matches did seem to me shorter than I thought they'd be. Again, it could have been just me on that, but I definitely felt like they were shorter than what they were used to. With that said, that's the number 1. So there's going to be 4. That's number 1. Number 2 is they opened the show with really the main event, the second to maybe third, what people would have thought had been second or third main event, and that was Seth Rollins versus Corbin for the Universal Championship. And I was surprised by that. I watched it and thought, wow, okay, we're going to open this up. And as you know, Brock Lesnar on Raw did a number on Seth Rollins, and that was kind of the big storyline. Seth Rollins going to be able to come in and be able to do this and be able to wrestle. And on one of the other shows I saw, and I'll give them a shout out. They don't really need it. You're a wrestling fan here, but WrestleZone, or I think it's called Wrestle Talk. I follow them. I wish I could say their names. I just kind of forget their names, but I get a lot of my information from them. That's why I don't really go in too much, because I figure if you watch they do like an hour show. They go over most of it. So, but this is one thing that they said, and I kind of agree with when I thought, is that Seth Rollins kind of has a thing where he's not the best seller. Not that he's not the best seller of like injuries. If he's supposed to be selling an injury, he doesn't really sell it well. And if you watch Raw, he got beat down really, his back was bleeding. He went in an ambulance. You would think if that's what he did, that they were selling that, he would have come to this with like noticeable movement, holding his stomach, not a limp because it wasn't his legs, but holding his stomach, just really in pain. You didn't really see that from him. It wasn't until he got down to the ring that they did this. They showed kind of on the screen that, this happened to you, that he then was like, you see him taking his jacket off, and it's like, like they said on Wrestle Talk, I'll agree. It's like that reminded him, oh yeah, I got bandages on. I got to show that. So he took off and he held his stomach. So going into that match, it was expected that was going to be, what was the sell point, that's what we go after. Corbin didn't really go after it. His whole thing was with the ref, which I don't know why they did it. And then a lot of people have a problem with Corbin being a heel. I never thought of him as like a top guy. And he's actually a really nice guy. But, and you know, again, I talk like, you know, I'm a fan, but I'm also going to talk like, hey, it's entertainment. You know, I'm hoping that people that watch this understand that. So I'm not going to talk like, oh, they're real wrestlers. You know, they really hate each other and they're really the characters on TV. If you ever meet Corbin in real life, he's actually a really cool guy. I always felt like he just got, I don't know, the story writing is what's hurting him. Why he would, the whole angle they had during the match was him and the ref, basically. And that the ref, his angle now is the ref cost him that match. So, anyways, the match is done. Seth Rollins obviously wins. Brock Lesnar then proceeds to cash. He's going to come down to cash in because Corbin, after the match, hit his move, end of days. I actually didn't know, but I mean, honestly, I wasn't sure where they were going with this. I thought maybe they were going to put it on Brock. I thought maybe they were going to do something with Brock, you know, being a champion for a little bit, setting up a SummerSlam thing. I really hope, but I'll be honest with you, I really hope, because Brock is not a full-time wrestler. I don't want to see him have a championship again. Unless he's going to come back to the company and be on Raw every week, which a champion should be. They should be on Raw, SmackDown, whatever they're representing, NXT. They're the main staple of the show. They need to be on that show. You know, they got the title. They become the name. They should be on the show. Seth Rollins does that. I'll give him credit for that. Anyways, as they're getting in the ring, Paul Heyman does a decent job acting like he tripped into the ring. Drops the briefcase. Seth Rollins hits with a low blow on Brock. He never actually cashed in, so there was never a match, so it wasn't like, you know, disqualification or anything. I mean, I'm glad they didn't do something cheap where Seth Rollins just got himself disqualified and then the cash-in didn't matter. They're still at cash-in, so there's still the element of surprise, but at the same time, I kind of feel like this whole thing was, this whole show was built on pushing certain angles, pushing the Brock Lesnar, pushing the Rumble, which I'll talk about, pushing Undertaker Goldberg, which I'll definitely talk about. And everything they put out there, everything they pushed for this, the Super Show, I mean, this was almost like a WrestleMania in some ways. To me, they failed on. It just didn't work. This didn't work because it you know, Brock Lesnar got beat up. Seth Rollins beat Brock Lesnar up. Again, I will give credit. I'm not a fan of Brock Lesnar right now because he's not a full-time wrestler. If he was a full-time wrestler or was there every week, I'd probably be more like, yeah, Brock is awesome. He's, you know, the guy can still go. He's probably one of the better. He's kept himself in good shape that he could probably still go, and he could really like kick my butt. So, Brock Lesnar, if you see this, please don't kill me. Well, yeah, I would see this, but hey, you never know, right? But this is what they have. They sold the show on this stuff, and it didn't work out. So Seth Rollins beat up Brock Lesnar with a chair and really beats him up. I mean, he took some shots. His elbow was Brock's elbow, left elbow, I believe it was. That's my right. Left elbow, this one, was sore. I mean, had a big lump on it. I don't know how he didn't break his arm, because there was a couple chair shots where, you know, he rolled on his stomach, which they really don't do. Now they take chair shots on the back. But Brock at one point rolled over and just took at least two chair shots to the arms and chest. And he took on the elbow. So I give him credit for that. But that whole thing, that setup, again, it failed on that. So that opened the show. There were a couple matches. Again, you had I'm probably going out of order when I talk, by the way, about these shows. But, you know, you had, I'm trying to remember, you had the other championship, Kofi Kingston versus Dolph Ziggler, who Dolph Ziggler has been putting out some of the best promos that WWE can do right now. Dolph Ziggler, underused. I mean, I wish he had gone to AEW. I'll be honest with you. I was kind of hoping he wouldn't sign WWE. I feel like WWE is not going to use him, but I think they threw some money at him, and he decided to take it. I also wonder if he's thinking outside of wrestling. If he does comedy, stand up. I hear it's pretty good. I'm wondering if he's thinking about doing something outside of wrestling. But again, they threw some money at him, and apparently he took it, and now he's signed to WWE. So that match was good. I was kind of surprised. I thought maybe Brock might cash in on whoever won that match. He didn't, so I was surprised by that. I think that would have been a good twist. Why not have, I like Kofi Kingston as champion. I hope he does have a long reign. I'm glad they're giving him this long reign, and it wasn't just a week or 2 weeks or a month we're coming up on a month. So, but I'm glad to see they're giving him a little bit of a reign with it. But it would have been, a nice surprise or a nice kind of out of left field is here comes Brock Lesnar. It didn't happen that way. Again, there was a couple matches, and this sounds bad, I just can't think of the other match is obviously Randy Orton and Triple H. Randy Orton looked great. Triple H he still looks like he's in good shape, but he's kind of on. I feel like he gets blown up by when you say that. It's not that. It means in wrestling when they say that, it means that they're done. They just get done after like 5 minutes. I feel like Triple H, and the match was slow. Triple H and Randy Orton was a slow match, kind of like that hard hitting they'll say, but it's really just guys who they again they're taking it slow. I'll put it on the heat too. They had, got 100-degree weather. You're not going to fly around too much. That match was pretty good. Randy Orton won. I'm glad to see that. I think Randy Orton, he's an older guy, but he's still got some life in him. Absolutely. And again, if he might stay with WWE. He might have another little bit career outside WWE, but I think he's a lifer, WWE lifer. Lars Sullivan against Lucha, not Brothers, that's AEW. Lucha Party, House Party, whatever they call themselves now. He basically, he won because of disqualification, and he just destroyed him. That's the kind of match where I'm just like, why use that on a pay-per-view? A pay-per-view. Why use that match? Why? It makes no sense. But they did. So, he went over. Then there was, so I've done 2. Then there was the Rumble. Now, this was the largest Rumble in history, over the top rope Rumble. I don't know, they call it the Rumble top, whatever. It was the largest in WWE history. I was curious on how they were going to do it because 50 guys, even if they did minute intervals, that's an hour. What they did was they basically put all the superstars in the ring at one time, and they did introductions for like 4 or 5 guys. Notable standouts were what's his name? Wow, I should know his name. He fell last year. He did an entrance, and I'm sure you can look up fine. He did an entrance where literally he's coming down the ring, and they're like, everyone's telling him to run, and he's like taking it slow because he fell, and it was funny. Then there was Eli came in, sang a song, it was funny. Miz threw him in the ring, and it got started. I didn't like that because it's you have 50 guys in the ring. There was mid-carders in the ring, 2 guys that were, I think Kevin Owens was in there. I don't know. There was all these guys in there. There were some NXT guys. I felt like this could have been a chance to say, we're gonna put the spotlight on the NXT younger guys. By having them come in, figure out by instead of doing 2-minute intervals and guys come in. I don't know, but it just felt, I watched it just going, this is boring, because you could see the guys, they had no room to do anything. They, the first guys to get thrown out were just, literally jumping out. There was times when you could see guys would whip guys across into a corner, and there'd be somebody there, so the guy would just kind of stop and try to figure out, how can I not injure the person, but still look like I'm going into the corner? It was just bad. They got down to the final 2, and actually the final 2 were Eli and Elias. I don't know Elias. And I can't think of his name. But basically, he's an NXT guy. He's the first Saudi and Arabian signed to an NXT contract, and he won. I'm fine with that. I get it. Hometown, home country, they popped. They loved it. Good for him. But again, it wasn't a build-up. There wasn't, they didn't give him any build-up. So unless you knew who he was, or you just were listening to the announcer going, oh, so he's an NXT guy. Okay, and oh, he's a starter. Oh, all right. Now it makes sense why he won it. No build-up, though, to him. It doesn't do anything for him. Unless they're going to really put him on the map in NXT now or really build him on that. You know, he's going to have this on his things left, but it's not going to do anything for him. It's not going to do anything for WWE. It's not going to do anything for NXT. Big miss on their part. Other thing, and it kind of brings me back, another thing, was that the crowd. There's been a lot of people saying the crowd was dead. And then only popped at certain moments. I don't know that they were necessarily dead. I wonder if it's just the culture. Because I know Japanese wrestling, if you go watch Japanese shows, they're the same way a lot of times. They do not pop. Even in big moments. You'll hear something here and there, you know, chanting of names. But they, at times, can seem like they're not into the match. When they are, but they're just being respectful. I have a feeling that's how it was there. I don't think that they were necessarily not into the match as much as I feel like it was just, that's how the culture is. They did pop sometimes, but I don't think they were a dead crowd. There was times, though, you could hear vents, like, almost sound like AC was running, and you're just going, you could hear a cricket. Again, I'm going to go with that. That's just how they were. My windshield is so dirty. There we go. Probably you can see in the background. I don't know why I just noticed that, but I did. All right. Okay. So, now for the big story coming out of the Super Show. Undertaker and Goldberg. And I put on Twitter, you know, WWE, please stop with the 50-plus-year-old matches. Now, I don't know the exact age. I know I'm positive Goldberg and Undertaker are over 50. If I'm wrong, they are damn close to it. But like I said, I'm positive they're older. Goldberg's entrance was great. Undertaker's entrance, epic. In the beginning of the match, the way the match started, Goldberg hitting his spear, yeah, great. That's what Goldberg does. He's that guy. Undertaker kicks out. I'm fine with that. The match wasn't terrible up to one point. And that was the point where Goldberg went for his spear. Undertaker was in the corner. He went in, and Goldberg, I'll give credit to the guy, went in 100 miles per hour. And Undertaker moved. Now, the thing about that move is that, and Triple H, I remember in an interview he said he doesn't like to do this because that is a real easy way to hurt yourself, especially if they're using the metal posts to hold up the ring. Because what happens is you have to kind of figure, you've got to put yourself under two buckles and put it so that your shoulder just doesn't hit that. But you got to make it look that way, but you can't hit it. It's metal. It's not going to give. Well, Goldberg apparently went a little too fast, hit, and he cut himself on the back of his head, on top of his head, above his eye. Basically, busted himself open and probably gave himself a concussion. Because after that, everything just slowed down. I get it. That probably didn't help, especially if he did have a concussion. But after that, it just looked so bad. Everything was moving so slow. And, I mean, they were spent. This is like 5 minutes into the match, if that. They were just spent. And there was a knee, a knee bar that Goldberg put on Undertaker, which looked terrible. There was, oh my God, the jackhammer. The first time Goldberg went for the jackhammer, I thought Undertaker broke his neck. Because if you watch it, he lifts Undertaker up, and you can tell just as he's getting Undertaker up to where usually he stands the guy up, he's just done. He can't hold the Undertaker, and he goes to do like a suplex. Like, it looks like a normal suplex, but then Undertaker couldn't get himself around, and Goldberg wasn't helping him, and Undertaker just landed right. I mean, he bent his neck just right, I guess, but he landed on the back of his neck and head. And I thought for sure we'd see the X, we'd see this, and that was going to be the end of it. They didn't stop the match. There was a couple spots after that, nothing really big, because they couldn't do anything big. And then Undertaker ended it with a choke slam. Well, no, that was it. So Goldberg then went for Undertaker's finish, the Tombstone, and it's kind of something that they've done. Undertaker's done before, where someone goes for the Tombstone, and they get the Undertaker up, and they kind of lean back, and Undertaker then picks him up and does the Tombstone. Well, Goldberg went to do the same thing, but just couldn't. I mean, he couldn't even get Undertaker up. He got Undertaker off the ground. And as soon as he was holding Undertaker's weight, he collapsed. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things where they probably should have ended the match earlier. After that, I think there was a couple moves, and Taker went for a chokeslam. If you ever watch, you know, the whole idea, I mean, Taker did one earlier in the match where he got Goldberg pretty high. This one, I mean, he went to lift Goldberg, and Goldberg did not help at all. Goldberg jumped, but just didn't jump high enough. And Taker did what he could. He probably lifted him about 3 feet off the ground and put him down, got the pin. And when Undertaker sat up, or got the pin, they had this, there's an image out there, it's been freeze frame, but you can tell Taker's face is like, he was pissed. And he had every right to be. Again, I'm not blaming Goldberg, but, you know, this is the kind of thing where I think Goldberg just went a little too fast. And I would hate that this is, you know, yeah, we want dream matches. As fans, I'm an Attitude Era guy. Undertaker, Goldberg, DX. I mean, all those guys are like my guys I grew up with. And it sucks to see that they really can't do it like they used to. But I don't want to see them just do these matches because we want dream matches. Bring up the younger guys. Let's get this going. Just stop bringing these, you know, stop. But I really want to see The Undertaker retire. And I want to see him I don't even need to see him have another match. I just would like to see him, you know, make it a big thing. Say, hey, Monday Night Raw, Undertaker is retiring. And he's going to go out with a speech. And we're going to give him half hour. Maybe more. I don't know. But we're going to give him the full-blown whatever. Maybe he doesn't want that. I don't know. But don't have him go out on this. Like, if this is his last match, that's going to be terrible. Goldberg, if this is his last match, that's terrible. If these guys want to have their final match, they need to be put up against, I think, younger guys who cannot carry the match, but they don't have to worry about, like, is he going to be able to, you know, am I going to be able to keep up with him? Or not so much that, but, like, you know, put him up with put Braun Strowman in the ring with Goldberg. Goldberg is not going to be able to probably to jackhammer him, but okay, so he spears him. You know, but put him in a ring that the guy can at least make something of the match, and they don't have to worry. They shouldn't have to worry so much about it. But just putting Goldberg, I mean, it's getting really bad, and I just think they need to do something different. The other thing I want to say is that, like I said, this was probably a very poorly written, poorly executed, very poor pay-per-view. If you go back AEW, Double or Nothing, watch that pay-per-view, watch this pay-per-view. I'm telling you, if you sit here and tell me that you think WWE Super Show was better than AEW, I don't know what to tell you. Because AEW, by far, has had the best pay-per-view right now. Until they, you know, maybe they do the next one or W pull something out of there. But AEW right now has had the best pay-per-view. And WWE needs to realize that at some point, they're going to have, AEW is going to be on TV in October, I think. If AEW even puts on half of what they did in a pay-per-view and puts it on TV, because there's going to be some restrictions. They probably can't have the blood, swearing, you know, they're going to have to bring it down a little bit. But still, just the wrestling. If they just bring that, WWE has got to respect that. And right now, WWE doesn't seem to really think AEW, you know, doesn't, to me, AEW's blowing WWE out of the water. And I'm a WWE guy. You know, I've been a WWE guy for years. But I love AEW. And I think, you know, once they get on TV, I'm going to, you know, and they start having that weekly show. If I'm WWE, I'm really watching that. And these guys that are not happy in WWE, that are leaving, like Dean Ambrose, now Moxley, There's other names that I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna say names, but they're, you know, if those guys start to show up in AEW and they can build and AEW can build a brand with other WWE guys, but also their own guys, which they will do. You know, they will build their own roster. They're not just going to take WWE guys and say, oh, we got our roster. They're going to build their own. They're just going to take WWE guys and they're going to say, okay, we have names that we can kind of, you know, we can make them bigger over here. So I think WWE needs to do something. And if WWE thinks the Super Show and what they did in Saudi Arabia can compete, I don't know. They got to really start thinking about the product. NXT, I think they need to, and then whether that's the Triple H, you know, that's his baby. I don't know how much Vince has to say about that, but WWE needs to you know, NXT needs to be pushed, in my opinion. I think that they need to take from NXT and bring it to SmackDown and Raw. Because SmackDown and Raw are just too... I mean, watching, you kind of can guess what's going to happen. You know, they just, it's too easy to guess what's going to happen. They need to change it up. So, I'm going a little longer than I wanted to, but that's kind of what I want to just talk about and say. I'll probably have another video up. Hopefully not like a week, but it might be. I just get these up when I can. I'm curious to see what they do on Raw. But yeah, unfortunately, I think Super Show was a disappointment. It really was a disappointment. AEW, I mean, they, you know, they got to pay Fight for the Fallen, I think it's called. Yeah, Fight for the Fallen. Not sure when it is. I don't know if I'm going to get that one. I got to see money-wise, you know, how much it is and everything, but I'm sure there'll be clips, and I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So, I don't know, WWE, step it up. So, all right, guys, thank you. Appreciate it. And, you know, like, subscribe, all that. If you want to leave comments, please be my guest. And appreciate it, guys. Till next time. Peace.